And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China. All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
The lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. They want us to sell our souls to barter profit, like God's property. It's hard to market, so we steady to aim, keep your eyes on target. 'Cause when you got the drive, yeah, they'd rather you park it. But I don't valet, you ain't getting these keys. I'm keeping closed hands, I'm on bended knee. I'm just a reflection, dealing with 8 sections. Art mixed with life, you can feel the convection. You lying won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said
The same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black.
You know what you are? You're an ancient Israelite.
Ancient is there. That's who we are. That's who we are. So if you give me time, if you give me time, all that he said.
No, we don't have.
So many years.
I know. Look at this. This is pages and pages of
Yes.
notes. And I promise we'll give more teaching. But here is my challenge to you.
All right.
I'm hearing some of your traditions. It's like the days of the Bible.
Yes.
Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews? Do you want to?
I'm so glad you're here because you can bring great clarity. Can you tell us a little bit about the Sephardic Jews and how they were scattered because they went west?
I sure can.
Because the reason why I want to is because a lot of them, and a lot of people don't know this, are in the Caribbean.
They are.
In the islands.
And you're one of them. I know that.
I'm one of them.
I know that.
Because, a lot of folk don't know that those roots are there. One of the first batches of slaves that came to Jamaica, they were the Sephardic Jews. It's documented.
And they're all over the Caribbean, South America, Central America, and even the South Central United States.
Wow.
And DNA testing is a factor in all this now.
Their bones were discovered in Kafse caves near Nazareth in Galilee in 1933. 13 fragile skeletons, one a woman, a tiny baby at her feet. When these bones were first uncovered, they were the oldest complete modern human skeletons ever found.
The numerous skeletons that have been found in caves in Israel at the sites of Kafse and Shkul show us that there were modern humans outside of Africa over 100,000 years ago. Those modern humans may well have gone up the Nile corridor.
Wells comes face to face with the man he's been searching for. A new portrait of the common ancestor of every man today. Adam. Without the skull, we can't know for sure what Adam looked like. But a combination of genetic evidence, Bender's forensic skills, and cutting-edge computer software suggest he looked something like this.
I was very excited when I first started to get evidence, and it was so counterintuitive. I'd put 20 Europeans and 20 African Americans on a sheet of X-ray film, and every African American showed differences, and all the Europeans looked the same. And I thought I'd mislabeled something, or I thought I'd made some drastic mistake. And we kept repeating and repeating things. As we got more samples from different areas, I realized that it was a difference in the pattern, and that this whole new type of evidence based on mitochondria was going to change the way we thought about modern humans.
Hitler was, and the Nazis, of course, expanded on Margaret Sanger's approach to eugenics, right? Eugenics was a movement that was born in the United States under hard doctrines of racism with the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah in the African-American community in this country, right? To eliminate them. With the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah in the African-American community in this country, right? To eliminate them.
With the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah in the African-American community in this country, right? To eliminate them.
The major problem of Israel is with the young generation of the black community. Black Lives Matter starts there. I had last week sit-down dinner at my house with 40 people, which are considered the leadership of the black community.
The entire Bible is about black people. Not only was Jesus black, but every character in the Bible seems to be black too. Yeah, Zephaniah and Jeremiah and Jebediah, those all aren't white people names, okay? And Jesus wasn't some tan, partially melanated Middle Eastern person either. I'm talking straight up black dude, okay? Even in the book of Revelation, when you get the vision of Daniel, he's describing someone with feet like burnt brass and white woolly hair, and we've got the deep running water voice with the red eyes, and you guys, he's black. The Jewish people are black people, like Kanye was right.
The same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black.
The white man is enacting a story all over the world. We left our homes and flooded the world. We smothered culture. We smothered knowledge. We erased history and rewrote it our way. Myself, my grandfather is 100% Ashkenazi Jewish. Claiming to be Jewish, Ashkenazi Jewish is just a conspiracy. White men claiming to be of tribes of Israel when I'm Germanic. I have no ties to Israel, no ties to Judaism, except loosely written history that's been whitewashed over for centuries, and it's from the Renaissance. Oh yeah, right. You wipe everything clean. It's funny how exactly the Renaissance. It's this rebirth, but it's white rebirth. I think at the same exact time the Renaissance is happening, Columbus is sailing to America and committing genocide.
You can convert to Judaism. You can't convert to a blood family. You cannot convert to a race. Judaism is a religion. That's all it is. Judaism is a religion. That's all it is.
Judaism is a religion. That's all it is.
So we're supposed to we're just being told that anti-Semitism is now criticizing Israel. Anti-Semitism is anything they want it to be. They can't even define it. They admit in this bill that they've passed through the House that there's really truly no actual protection for Jews, but they're just making it up as they go because they want to say, well, but Semites, which we shouldn't even be using that word anymore because most Jews who practice the religion of Judaism or who are culturally Jewish, even if they don't practice the Jewish religion, but they're culturally Jewish, like many are culturally Christian. Many of us celebrate Christmas, but we're not Christian. That's cultural Christianity. It is what it is, right? They can't define it. They're putting all these rules on us. We shouldn't even allow them to use the term anti-Semitism. It's not real. Most of these Jews are not Semites.
Assalamu alaikum. In the 13th tribe, Arthur Koestler traces the origin of Eastern Europe's Jewish population that was largely decimated by the Nazi onslaught during the Second World War. Through extensive research, he discusses the history of a trading empire that was set up by a tribe known as the Khazars. The Khazar Empire was located between the expanding power blocks of Christianity and Islam, and the people were converted to Judaism by their king as a way of standing apart from both. The Khazarians and their wealth were dispersed through the countries of Eastern Europe after the collapse of the Khazar Empire. The Khazarians were not a Semitic people, that they called themselves Jews after their conversion to Judaism is as absurd as the Chinese Muslims calling themselves Arabs.
Genesis chapter 11 verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact,
Wanted to say peace and blessings to everyone. Hope and pray all is well with you guys. I know this is an unscheduled live, and I have to get back into the flow of things of scheduling these lives and doing my playbooks again. But I'm going to do a quick live. Not going to hold you guys up too long tonight, but I did want to do a live based off of a live that I did earlier this week from my car. And I know some of you guys are trying to figure out what happened to the live. Well, I took the live down, put it in private, because when I deal with certain subjects and I make certain comments, I like to have sources to show. And that's one of the things that I've learned about YouTube, especially when it comes to this platform, is because when you use or make certain quotes, make sure you have the sources displayed. Make sure that you show the sources. If not, someone is going to try to flag you, and that's what I picked up. That's what I gathered from that particular live. That just, with all the trolls that were trolling that day, I knew that it was someone was going to, or a few of them was going to, do what they do. And so just as a safety precaution, I went on and took the video down or put it in private, just so that way I can avoid that nonsense. You guys probably remember, for almost a 2-year stretch, I was constantly in YouTube jail. Many cases, I was sitting on 2 strikes. So I learned a few things about how to navigate through some of those things, even though they still take videos down. But this one, I just wanted to make sure that when I speak on certain things and give certain numbers, especially when you're dealing with certain communities, you want to make sure that you use their sources to validate and substantiate whatever is stated. So for those that are, that are watching, that are content creators, have your own platforms, that's the thing you want to keep in mind. If you're going to state certain things, make sure you have the sources to substantiate whatever you're pointing out, especially when you're dealing with sensitive information like this that I'm going to cover. All right. So with that being said, I want to say shout outs to you guys. I pray all is well with you guys. I want to say Shabbat Shalom. And also want to say Shabbat Shalom to others. So hope and pray that you guys are starting have started your Shabbat off on a good note. So I'll just give a couple of shout outs here because I see that the chat is really not moving fast. So I'll do that, and that gives me enough time to allow others to join us. But let me just go ahead and give a couple of shout outs, and then we'll get into what we're going to cover tonight. I want to give a shout outs to Tiffany. I want to say shout outs to you. Bethia, I want to say, give shout outs to you. Holding things down out in California. Family, give some love, show some love to the elder that is in the building. Appreciate you for all the love and support. Also, La Rena, I want to say shalom to you as well. Shabbat shalom. Mash Paka. Dina Ya. I want to say peace and blessings to you as well. A gift that heals the heart. Shalom to you as well. Tanji Ya. I want to say shalom to you. Let's see, who else do I have here? Kwatazaya Yashara Al. I want to say peace and blessings to you. Mike Nice, shout outs to you. Peace and blessings to you. Let's see here. Lakinia, I want to say shalom to you. Naara, excuse me. I want to say shout outs to you. I want to say Yahweh, I want to say shout outs to you as well. Senquita, I want to say Shabbat Shalom, Shalom or Shabbat Shalom to you. Hanging with Rogers, shout outs to you. Top Cat, shout outs to you. Let's see, who else do we have here? Kaniya, I want to say shout outs to you as well. Peace and blessings to you. All right, let's see, who else do we have here? Marcia Hamilton, want to say peace and blessings to you. Shabbat Shalom. Let's see here. LaRonda, peace and blessings to you. Fred Davis, peace and blessings to you. Berean Scholar, shout outs to my brother here. Family, subscribe to his channel, doing some good things on his platform. Shout outs to Berean Scholar. Hetzibah, excuse me if I mispronounced the name. I want to say shout outs to you. Namira, shout outs to you. And a couple of more. Let's see here. Shinquita, shout outs to you. Shabbat Shalom to you. Born Uhuru, excuse me if I mispronounce your name. And lastly, Pure Repentance, Shabbat Shalom to you as well. Let me see. I think that should do it. All right, we got a couple more real quick. 9 Ether, shout outs to you. Appreciate the love and support. Mama E, shout outs to you. CM McMillan, Shabbat Shalom to you. And Yasharal, I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you. Hallelujah. Dinya, I want to say peace and blessings to you. And thank you, Tangi. Thank you for the love and support. Appreciate the super sticker. Family, let's show some love and support to Tangia for the love and support. Really appreciate it. All right. So let's go and stretch this out. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, I know you guys probably saw some of the previous videos that I've uploaded over the past few weeks. I've been fact checking Piers Morgan and been using that as an opportunity to teach this truth. See, family, I know some may ask questions. Well, why is Pastor Kelly doing videos on Piers Morgan? Or why is Pastor Kelly have videos of entertainers saying that we are the people of the book, like the Kanye West or Kyrie Irving? Family, they have people that follow them. And the whole goal is to use that as an opportunity to spread this truth. So guess what? If I post a video about them saying we the people of the book and do a playbook off of it, then that's an opportunity of winning another person. Winning another person. See, this is where we have to be smart, and we have to understand what it means to evangelize. And I was an evangelist when I was inside the church. I used to beat the streets, going up and down the streets, evangelizing. So there's wisdom. There's a there's how can I put it? There's an intended purpose for me showing these video clips, and there is an intended purpose for me doing like the Candace Owens when she was dealing with the name stealers. So when you, again, they all have huge followings, and when you do certain videos and they get a lot of traction, guess what? Many that support those platforms, they end up subscribing to this platform, and that makes us that much more effective at getting this truth out there. So family, that's the whole logic behind it. And so today or tonight, we are going to deal with the math, not mathing. We're going to deal with that tonight. All right. So hope that helps you guys, give you proper clarity before we get started. Matter of fact, I see another Cash App here. Not Cash App, but super sticker. I want to say shout outs to Denaya. I want to say thank you for the love and support. Apologies for fumbling over your name. Like the old school say, charge it to my head, not to my heart. But really appreciate you. All right, so let's get into it. The math, not mathing. The math, not mathing. What do we mean here? Let me do something here. All right. Let me get my mouse back. There we go. All right. What do we mean by here? And I'm going to explain it to you in a second. When we get to that point. All right. So I want to just remind you guys of this quote that Malcolm X made decades ago. If you aren't careful, the newspaper will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing. All right, so let's start with Ezekiel chapter 13, verse 7. I'm not going to read the whole chapter, but I just want to highlight verse 7, even though I have it up here. And you know what? I'll just read a few verses from here that leads up to there. But because we're living a day and time where we see so many people proclaiming to be prophets and prophetess and all of this, really, as you read the scriptures have something to say about a lot of the things that we see. So this is Ezekiel chapter 13. You see how it starts off. This whole chapter is about false prophets. And it says, and the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the prophets of Israel who prophesy, and say unto you, them who prophesy out of their own hearts, hear you the word of Yahweh. So this is Ezekiel giving warning. This prophecy, it's directed towards these false prophets that, as you can see, all through the history of Israel, especially whenever they had to deal with a captivity, false prophets rose from within. All right. So it says, and say unto them who prophesy out of their own hearts, hear you the word of Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh Elohim, woe unto the foolish prophets who follow their own spirits and have seen nothing. We have plenty of examples of so many self-proclaimed prophetess and prophets who haven't seen anything. They're not getting no type of revelation from the Most High. They are just speaking, as we would say, out of the side of their neck back in the day, but they're just speaking and following their own flesh. Israel, your prophets are like the foxes in the desert. You have not gone up into the gaps, neither made up the hedge for the house of Israel to stand in the battle in the day of Yahweh. And that's one of the things that these false prophets, these false teachers, these false pastors, fake. This is what they want to do. Make it seem like when they have a revelation from the Most High, like they had to stand in the gap for you, like they are some type of Messiah, like they're standing in the gap. They had to go to the Holy of Holies to pull this blessing out. How many times have you guys heard someone say, well, I had to go into prayer for days, and when I came out, the Most High gave me a rhema word. I mean, how many times have you heard that? There's some way, one way or another, form or fashion, giving you the impression as if these people or individual has some type of messianic complex, a Messiah complex. That's what this scripture is talking about. It's making reference to it, saying these people are not standing in the gap for no one but themselves. All right, but let's just go ahead and go down to verse 13, because this is what I want to kind of use this as the foundation of what we're going to touch on tonight. It says in verse 7, have you not seen a vain vision? And have you not spoken a lying divination? Whereas ye say, Yahweh saith it, albeit I have not spoken. So this is also saying, and you hear it a lot, so many so-called prophetesses and so-called prophets, they have this thing of saying, the Lord said. How many times have you heard the Lord said? And you know what? It's not just them, because when you come up in certain spaces like the Pentecostal churches or the holiness churches, you have so many people that I mean, they make it seem like the Most High is talking to them every minute, every hour. Every time you turn around, the Lord said, the Lord said, the Lord said. So that is a behavior, a learned behavior that's plaguing Christianity right now. It's nothing like seeing so-called prophets and prophetess going at each other. And they all start off with saying, the Lord said this to me. The Lord said. And when you listen to them, they have no clue about the word. They can't even teach the word in any kind of way. Off with their how we want to put it, biblical hermeneutics, if you want to just use a technical term. So it says here again, have ye not seen a vain vision? Let me say it again. Have ye not seen a vain vision? And have ye not spoken a lying divination? Whereas ye say, Yahweh saith it, albeit I have not spoken. I have not spoken. So let's break this down real quick. What is a lying divination? That's a great question when you think about it. What is a lying divination? Let's go to the Hebrew definition of this word here. We see quasam, and quasam means, as you see here, to distribute an example by lot. But here's the kicker: magical scroll, soothsayer, use, in other words, divination, also false prophets. So when you see that word divination, we're dealing with false prophets, of course, false prophecy, magical scrolls, because in this awakening, there's a lot of people that are promoting magical scrolls. There's so many that are into these magical scrolls. Now, I know some of you guys probably trying to figure out, well, what do I mean, magical scrolls? Yeah, you got brothers and sisters that are reading all kinds of stuff that contradicts Torah. They're allowing pseudo books that were written 12 and 13 centuries later to have more precedence over the law and the prophets. For example, like the book of Enoch, the book of Jubilees, the two books of Jasher, one written by the Mormons and the other written by the Ashkenazi Jewish community as we know them. You have the so-called book of Adam, all kinds of crazy stuff. And many are reading that more than what they have read of the original 66 books themselves. Mystical scrolls. And I may, if we have enough time, drop a couple of those PowerPoints in here to show you the contradictions that are in, for example, the book of Jubilees. Show you one major contradiction, and I could go through a ton of them, with the books of Jasher. Now, I know some of you guys are going to say, well, hey, some of these books are listed in the Ethiopian Bible. And the Ethiopian Bible is not the first Bible, or should I say, collection of the books. The books, the law and the prophets, were together well before the Ethiopian Bible. Now, this is not throwing any shade. All right, but just want to give you clarity here, family. But let's go ahead and continue here. So, Kwasam, we see the key I want to hold on today is magic scrolls or mystical scrolls, magic or mystical scrolls, false prophets. Let's really focus on that, and let's look at the word magic. This is the etymological dictionary definition of magic. It says art of influencing or predicting events, producing marvels using hidden natural forces, sorcery. Then we see here where it's highlighted in red. It says one of the members of the learned and priestly class. And then we also see to be able, have power. We see the word magician, priest, magician, druid. So a lying divination is magical or mystical scrolls. Let me say that again. Lying divination, we already highlighted false prophets. You can put that up under here, place that up under this. Also, lying divinations also is magical or mystical scrolls. Make a note of that. Make a note of that. All right. Well, I'm going to say this, Born Yahuru, the books of Jasher doesn't fill in any blanks. They're forgeries. And this is, unfortunately, the deception that many of us brothers and sisters are running with. The book of Jasher doesn't fill in any blanks. That's what the name stealers did. So many areas of the scriptures where they could not understand, they decided to write and make up books to fill in the gaps in areas that they couldn't understand. So those books of Jasher, both of them, are not filling in any gaps. They're not giving you a better understanding of any of the text. So I just want to make sure, give you clarity on that, so that way you understand. If for the sake of time, if we have enough time, I'll show you a couple of contradictions before we wrap up tonight. All right. So, but just want to give you clarity because, again, just because I believe the book of Joshua makes references, and I think David is First Samuel as well, either First or Second Samuel. I know the book of Jasher is made, references to it is made, but what you actually see, those are not the actual ancient books of Jasher. That book is gone. There's only a couple of fragments that exist of the book, not enough to fill a page. So I just want to give clarity on that, but appreciate you guys. So what are some of the deceptions of these mystical scrolls? Now I'm going to deal with a mystical scroll to show you so many deceptions. And then some of you guys probably heard me on some of my previous lives deal with these mystical or magical scrolls. So I'm going to start off by playing this short clip so you can get an idea of one of the things I'm about to highlight.
Milammed, it teaches us that Adam not only named the animals, but he dated all the animals. But he was not able to be at peace with any of them until finally Chava was created.
Hashem didn't have a problem with that?
I mean, dated means, I'm trying to use a nice word.
What does dated means? What do you mean by dated?
Dated means he took her out to Pisgah.
Dated.
They went out to the Chosan. They had a little, Monte.
Relationship?
You know.
Not relationship, just Let's keep it rated PG.
We're going to keep it rated. We're going to keep it rated PG for the G for grandmas for this discussion. But that's what he did. It says he went out with the animals. You know.
Now I hope you guys caught it, right? And real quick, I saw someone make a post here. Let me see here. I want to say something real quick. I argued with someone who told me the Gospels or the good news in the renewed covenant was corrupt, but told me to read Jubilees. It's crazy out here. Absolutely, family. And this is one of the things these so-called non-Messianics will say to you in this awakening, right? They'll tell you that the New Testament per se, which is really the renewed covenant, they'll say that the Epistle family wrote these books. That's what they'll tell you. They'll tell you that the Epistle family, they'll go into the Epistles conspiracy theories to come up with this nonsense. An 18th century conspiracy, a conspiracy that was created in the 1800s. Family, you can't make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up. But anyway, let's get back to it. So be encouraged, family. Be encouraged. Be encouraged. All right. So what are some of the deceptions in these mystical scrolls? You just heard it. You just heard a rabbi teaching his assembly that Adam practiced bestiality, that Adam dated the animals. I'll play it one more time, and then I'll go to the actual mystical book that they created, right? I'll go to the actual mystical book that is not biblical whatsoever. Now, I may pull in some other slides from another slide just to kind of give you some additional information on it. But here's that mystical teaching here.
Milamed, it teaches us that Adam not only named the animals, but he dated all the animals. But he was not able to be at peace with any of them until finally Chava was created.
Hashem didn't have a problem with that?
I mean, dated means, I'm trying to use a nice word.
What does dated means? What do you mean by dated?
Dated means he took her out to La Pisgah.
Dated.
They went out to the Chosan. They had a little, Monte.
Relationship? Not relationship, just dating. Let's keep it rated PG.
We're going to keep it rated. We're going to keep it rated PG for the G for grandmas for this discussion. But that's what he did. It says he went out with the animals. You know.
So that's you heard it. You guys did not hear it incorrectly. You were not. There's nothing wrong with your hearing. You heard exactly what this rabbi stated. But let's go to this mystical scroll that he's reading from. Let's go to the actual source. Let's go to the Talmud. And more specifically, Yebamath, right? We're going to go here. Yebamath, 63a. And let's read what it says. It says here. That's why he said it says right here. He's giving you his actual mystical books that he's reading from. And it reads, Eliezer further stated, what is meant by the scriptural text? This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This teaches that Adam had intercourse with every beast and animal, found no satisfaction until he cohabited with Eve. Right? So in the Talmud, there's other things I could point out in this Talmud, like how what the Talmud say about you and I, call us strange creatures, the source of where you see or the thought of us being less than human in the Talmud, saying that we have this skin complexion because of a curse, because of uh, uh, Noah's sons, or should I say Ham, copulating on the ark. It's a ton of items within the Talmud that is contradictory. That is not Torah. That contradicts Torah. Let me give you one more video here. Right? Let me give you one more video here. Just the thought, the expression that one of the rabbis gave, and this is an educator within Judaism. But listen to what he says about the Talmud. Let me see here. I think I have it here. Yes, here it is.
We would not know how to live on the Sabbath if it were not for the oral law. We would not know what the laws of the dietary laws of kashrut are if it were not for the oral law. We would not know what the tefillin, what the boxes on our arms and heads that we wear every morning in our prayer service, what they're supposed to be. And in fact, all of Judaism would be completely mysterious. It would be voodoo if it were not for the oral law.
So as you heard him, he said, without the so-called oral law, that the Torah would be, as he pointed out, he said voodoo. Who is he referring to when he say voodoo? So that's like him saying without the prior to the so-called oral law, the holy text was a dark melanated people text anyway. But family, the Most High did not give Moses 2 Torahs. That's what they teach. They teach that when the Most High gave Moses the Torah, he gave him 2 Torahs. One written and the other oral. And then they say right around the 4th century, 3rd or 4th century AD, because of the so-called Roman threat, they decided to write what was oral, write it down. Come on, family. Come on, family. I just gave you a major contradiction here. This is not in Genesis whatsoever. This is not the account that any of the other books make reference to. But this is what they created. In family, you have brothers and sisters that have jumped out of the frying pan of Christianity and jumped right into the fire of Judaism, right into the fire of Mormonism, because you got brothers and sisters that are pushing Mormonism, going to all kinds of things. Anyway, I'll just leave it at that. All right. So let's continue, family. I just want to give you an example of magical books. Magical books. And matter of fact, before I go into this, let me put a scripture here real quick. Let me see here. All right, let's see here. I just want to put one more here so you guys can understand the importance. All right. I want to make sure you guys understand what the disciples did, what a group of people that the disciples witnessed to did with their magical or mystical books. Let me go ahead and include this slide here real quick. Let me just go ahead and do this real quick for you guys before we get into the number 6. All right, let's see here. Let me see if I can put it in real quick. All right. I meant to put this in earlier, but I might as well do it right now because I did want to cover this passage real quick. All right, let's see. So you guys can understand this has been going on well before all of us came into existence. All right. Yeah, here we go. I got it. All right. And I want you guys to pay attention to this because family, many of our brothers and sisters again are getting caught up with mystical books. Just because a book is old doesn't mean that it's right. All right, let's put this here. I think that should do it. All right, so let's go ahead and back it up a little bit. All right, this is coming from Acts chapter 19, verse 19 and 20. Right, and let me go back here. All right, let me animate this here so you can see what's in the backdrop as well. All right, there we go. All right, so let's start right here. Now, where you see Jew and Greeks, this is dealing with the northern and southern kingdom. I just want to make sure we're clear with this. When you see Jew and Greek, is dealing with the northern and southern kingdom. When you read the book of Acts, it is clear. The book of Acts makes it clear that they were going to only to the Israelites. So in Ephesus, we would see the Israelites. Matter of fact, let me do one more thing. I don't want to just say something without showing you guys here. Let me see here. Let me see here. Bear with me 1 second. All right, I'm going to pull in. I'm going to pull another slide here real quick because I don't like to say something without giving you sources. So let me give you a passage to prove this because, when you're reading this, if you're not careful, you could be under the assumption that they were when you see Gentiles, that they were going to those that are not Israelites. But I'm going to prove to you with scripture that the original Israelite followers of Hamashiach, they was going to their own people. Bear with me 1 second. I'm getting a passage here. That's not it. Not that one. I'm almost there. I'm looking for the one that I want. All right, is this one it? All right, let me see here. Yeah, let me show you here. I'm going to copy this passage over. All right, bear with me. All right, here we go. So we see here, and I'll bring that in here after this one, and I'll show you with proof. So as you see here, before we get to the other passage, let me just going to get this one done real quick. As we see here, matter of fact, you know what? Let me do the other one. I'll just do this one first, and then I'll go back. It says here, now when they were scattered abroad upon the persecution that arose about Stephen, traveled as far as Phoenice, Cyprus, and Antioch, preaching the word to none but only who? Only to who? See, that's where we have been deceived. This is where we've been taught poor information. So we see when they were scattered, right? When the disciples were scattered, look at who they went to. Look at who they went to. It didn't say that they were going to nations outside of Israel. So this tells you right here, they're honoring what Christ said. When he told his disciples to go out, he didn't tell them to go to a generic spot. They went to wherever the Israelites are scattered to. Now, I'm not saying that you can't witness to someone that's not blood descendants of Israel. Yes, you can. We have examples of that in the scriptures. But we see here early on, they were going to the places where the Israelites dwell. All right. So that's the point I wanted to make. All right. So let's go back a little bit. Let's back this up a little bit. Let's go to the previous verses here. All right. This is the point I want to make. All right. So it says here, and this was known to all the northern and southern kingdom. This would be the southern, northern, also dwelling at Ephesus. And I want to make this clear. Everywhere you see Greek is not referring to the northern kingdom. Just want to make that clear. That's not what I'm saying. When you see this combination here, northern and southern kingdom. Also dwelling at Ephesus, and fear fell on them all, and the name of Adonai Yahushai, in other words, Lord Jesus, was magnified. But now this is where we get to verse 18. All right. Well, actually, I'll read verse 18, then we do 19. And many who believed came and confessed and showed their deeds. And let's go to verse 19. Many of them also which used curious arts brought their books together and burned them before all men. And they counted the price of them, and found it 50,000 pieces of silver. So mightily grew the word of Yahweh and prevailed. So among the Israelites, among Judah, many of our brothers and sisters back then, it says many of them also which used curious arts brought their books together and burned them before all men. And they counted the price of them, and found it 50,000 pieces of silver. So mightily grew the word of Yah and prevailed. See, that's what we need to do right now. We have so many brothers and sisters that are practicing curious arts, going into these magic or mystical books, and leading so many people astray. All right. So let's fast forward. Let's deal with this number 6. And I'm going somewhere with this. Number 6. How significant is the number 6? It starts with understanding the system of man, which is known as the mark of the beast. See, this is one of my pet peeves here. When I hear people teaching about end time prophecy, and they go there with the computer chips being the mark of the beast, they go with certain things to saying that, hey, this is the mark of the beast. Whether it's the computer chips, whether it's vaccines, whatever the case may be, to say, hey, this is the mark of the beast right here. Family, that's been going on for quite some time. That's how you can really filter who's real and who's not. The mark of the beast is not a computer chip. Do you know you got computer chips all around you? You have a computer chip in your ATM card. You have a computer chip inside your remote control. You have a computer chip inside your television. You have a computer chip inside your microwave. You have a computer chip inside your convection oven. You have a computer chip inside your car. Computer chips is all around you. The difference is you just don't have one inside you. But you have computer chips all around you. Even when you're driving on the highway, guess what? You have the toll booths. You got the easy pass. So you have computer chips all around you. All right. And let me say this to someone that posted about the Antichrist. The Antichrist been revealed. The Antichrist been revealed. The Antichrist been chilling, been dwelling among Israel even during the time of Christ. The Antichrist has been revealed. There's a difference between the Antichrist and the difference between the son of perdition. Let me say that again. There's a difference between the Antichrist and the son of perdition. You know, these are the things that so many, again, Not trying to, belittle, but that's poor teaching from starting from the Christian Catholic Church. That is poor teaching that came from the Christian Catholic Church, teaching that, hey, you know what, the Antichrist is going to show his face, and the Antichrist been showed his face. The Antichrist been here. The Antichrist been here. Been here. No, and I want to make it clear. It's not an option to we can agree to disagree, because I'm going to give you scripture before we progress. So I'm kind of freestyling a little bit as I get to my main point. This is not a disagreement. You can disagree. We can disagree with each other, but what does the word say? And I'm going to prove to you that the Antichrist has been here. Let me prove it to you real quick, family. I know, I'm progressing here, but I'm going to get to where I need to get to. But I wanted to take this, use this as an opportunity to also knock down some things that we have, things that have been taught to us that is completely wrong. So let me just pull a few passages here real quick. I don't even have to get into the details, but in respectfully, and I'm doing this all out of respect because I want to make sure we break these shackles of what's been handed down to us. So I want to make sure you understand this is no disrespect to you, but I want to make sure you understand that others that are watching that we've been duped. The Antichrist has been here. The Antichrist has been here even during the time of Hamashiach, during the time of his disciples. It's not one individual. The Antichrist, plural. So let me show you this real quick. I think I just copied a couple of slides over. And like I said, this is not disrespect. This is done respectfully. But I want to make sure we break these poor teachings that we've been subjected to in the church. All right, so here we go. I have it here. That's right. There we go. Let me show you here real quick. All right, let's back it up a little bit. Kind of kill two birds with one stone. Let me back it up a little bit, family, and then we'll continue with the thought that I want to continue with. All right. All right, here we go. 1 John chapter 2, verse 18. Little children, it is the last time, and as ye have heard that Antichrist, Antichristos, shall come, even now there are many Antichrists, Antichristos. So John is making it clear, saying even during his time, there are what? Many Antichrists. Come on, fam. Is that the word? That's the word. It says that there's, you see that there's plural. So this tells us that, guess what? The Antichrist, plural, has been around. They've been around. I'll read it again. 1 John chapter 2, verse 18. Little children, it is the last time, and as ye have heard that Antichrist shall come, even now are there many Antichrists. Come on, family. And these Antichrists, they're not the devil. They're not angels. They are Israelites here, whereby we know that it is the last time. Let me prove it here, right? We already know what Antichrist here is, the adversary of the Messiah. But let's go back to the scriptures here. I don't need to go through all of this. Let's go to again, First John chapter 2, verse 18. Let's go to verse 18. Right? Little children, it is the last time again. And as ye have heard that Antichrist shall come, even now are there many Antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. Right? Let me go to another verse. Verse 19 through 22. Look at what it says. They went out from us. Wait a minute. You see what the Antichrist is? The Antichrist is not what's been taught. The market, and I'm going to get to the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast has been here. We're going to get to the mark of the beast, but I'm going to primarily deal with a different angle on it. But the mark of the beast has been here. But look at here. It says, it gives you clarity of who the Antichrist is. It says they went out from among us. So this is not the devil. This is not angels. These are Israelites, fellow brothers and sisters that was rubbing elbows with them, laboring and all. Said they went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would no doubt have continued with us. But they went out that they might be made manifest that they were not all of us. So that's why I said that this here, I'm giving you clarity. We can have disagreements, but we all can agree that the scripture is making it clear. We may agree to disagree, but we can't disagree on the text. The text is making it clear. The text is clear that the Antichrist is our own brothers and sisters that are among us that have what? Left. Many of them have gotten into these curious arts, as the scripture talks about, getting into these mystical books, and now many of them are teaching against the scriptures. That's the Antichrist. It says they went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would no doubt have continued with us. But they went out that they might be made manifest that they were not all of us. Come on, family. It's right here. But ye have an unction from the Holy One, and ye know all things. I have not written unto you because ye know not the truth, but because ye know it, and that no lie is of the truth. So John is saying, I'm not writing this to you guys to warn you, saying, I'm not playing with your intelligence. I'm not writing this because you don't know the truth. I'm writing this because you know the truth and to expect certain things to come with the territory. Don't allow these antichrists to be among us. That's what John is addressing here. Look at what it says here. Who is a liar, but he that denieth Yahushua HaMashiach, in other words, Jesus the Christ, right? Jesus is the Christ, right? Right. That's what we're dealing with right now. Yahushua, or it should be Yahushua now. Drop the I, but anyway, Yahushua. Some of you guys would say Yeshua, or some of you will say Yahashua, but saying that, denying that Yahashua or Yahushua or Yeshua, and some of you guys will say Jesus is the what? Messiah. So our brothers and sisters that call themselves non-Messianic, according to the scriptures, that's a glorified term by saying Antichrist, because they don't believe in the Messiah. They're trying to teach another Messiah and have you anticipating or waiting on some other Messiah. Look at here. He is Antichrist that denied the Father and the Son. All right. So I hope that helps you guys. I hope that gives you clarity. Matter of fact, let me give one more scripture so we can put that to rest on how to determine what is the characteristics, what are some of the things that the Antichrist, how can we filter through to know exactly who is an Antichrist? All right. What are some of the key things that we can pull to understanding who's who? Well, let me show you real quick. Let me drop this in here real quick, and then we'll get back to our regularly scheduled program. All right, let's see here. I'm going to drop that right here. And then we'll get back to the number 6. All right. So let me drop that here. And let's go to this key passage. All right, here we go. Let me sound like Slick Rick. Here we go. All right. This is key. Right? This is key. 1 John chapter 2, verse 3 and 4. This is how we're going to know who is anti. Look at here. Evidence. Look at this. And hereby we do know that we know him if we keep his commandments, plural. He that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments is a liar. So that right there is something that we were given to be able to filter out who was anti. I hate to break the bad news to some of our brothers and sisters because it's bad news to me as well. Why? Because we have brothers and sisters that are in Christianity. Yes, they go to church all the time, but they're teaching that we don't have to keep the commandments. We don't have to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. Guess what? According to scripture, that is the very definition of antichrist because Christ never taught that. In fact, Christ said in Matthew chapter 19, when he got asked by the rich young ruler, what must I do to have eternal life? And Christ told him to honor the commandments. Now, he didn't say love everybody. He didn't say love the Father and then love eat one another. He didn't recite what's in Matthew chapter 22. He didn't recite that. No, actually in Matthew chapter 19, he says, honor the commandments. And he began to what? Quote from the commandments. The 10 commandments, the foundational commandments, the words of the covenant. Anyway, let's continue. Let's keep it going. All right, let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. But I just want to address a couple of things that I saw inside the chat. And I just could not move past that, just so that way we are all on the same page. All right. So let's go ahead and continue. How significant is the number 6? Let me say that again. How significant is the number 6? It starts with understanding the system of man, which is known as the mark of the beast. What is the mark of the beast? Revelation chapter 13, verse 16 through 18. Let's see what the mark of the beast is. It says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. You know what? Let me go right here. Let me stop right here for a second. Family. Simply put, when you understand the beast, right? The mark of the beast is systems of men, authentication. One of the things that our ancestors could not do during the transatlantic world war, they could not buy or sell. Our brothers and sisters were raped, murdered, killed, right? If they did not have a hand receipt, giving them the permission to travel from one side of the plantation to another. They were branded with the fleur-de-lis. See, this is another thing, and I'm touching on another thing. This is kind of get up under my skin, because when we start dealing with world wars, we look at many of our brothers and sisters, starting with the church, when we're dealing with end time prophecy, when we get into eschatology, it's through the lens of the very people that have oppressed us. We erase the atrocities that was done to the true Israelites. The first major atrocity that Christ gave prophecy on, was the time of sorrow, the sacking of Jerusalem. And he made reference to that in Matthew chapter 24, and to anchored that with by mentioning Daniel. So that was the sacking of Jerusalem, was the time of sorrow. So when did the Great Tribulation start? The Great Tribulation started, guess what? When Israel, Negroes, right, being scattered to the four corners of this earth by way of what? The Transatlantic World War. The Great Tribulation is not about to begin. We're not waiting for the Great Tribulation to start. It's always been rough for our people, rougher than any other community. And when you study the Transatlantic World War, that was, again, a world war. All the other countries, with the World War, You see how they classify it. But what happened to our community, that we had more people die. I mean, not die, just kidnapped, rape, kidnapped, died, the whole nine, far more than any of these world wars. And the precursor to that was the Arabic or sub-Sahara slave trade, in which all three of the so-called Abrahamic faiths enslaved our people. So, family, this is one of my pet peeves, and I've been teaching this for years on top of years. It's a pet peeve of mine when I hear people say that they're going to call themselves going into the eschatology, so to speak. And then when they talk about world wars, they don't talk about any of the major atrocities to our people. The entire scripture is about Israel. The entire scripture doesn't start outside of Israel. Of course, when we read Genesis, it's showing us how the covenant went from Adam and all the way down to Israel, the nation. But it's all about Israel. It's not about a made-up construct called the church. It's not about a made-up construct called Judaism. It's not about any of those made-up constructs called Islam. None of those Abrahamic faiths, none of the disciples, Christ, none of them practiced that stuff. So when we go back here, it says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. See, many of you guys, I'm not saying that's watching this chat, but many believe that these are literal marks. Now, when you understand, receive the mark in their right hand, if you understand Aman, if you understand the right hand, you understand the significance of that. Even many of you guys that do business, many of you guys may have your own business or work in a professional environment. What hand do you use to seal a deal? What hand do you use to confirm? What hand do you use to greet one another? What hand do you use, men? It's your right hand. Do you know Aman also means go to the right hand? This is the side that the high priest would go to interceding for Israel. This is the same side that Christ Hamashiach sits at the right hand, not sit in the middle in the same seat as the Father. He sits at the right hand of the Father. That's scripture. So to receive a mark in their right hand, and in other words, to validate, or when you understand the word Aman, it means confirm, it means true, it means belief, it means permanent, it means go to the right hand. It means consistency. So when you say confirm, guess what? That's an agreement. And you see that in Deuteronomy chapter 27, when the curses were pronounced. And Israel made it clear that they understood each curse. And after each curse, they said what? Aman. That's the ancient Hebrew pronunciation of the word Aman. Look it up. In your strong concordance, the primitive root word will say Aman. It'll be spelled Ahman. All right. So this is not dealing with a literal mark. This is dealing with confirming, or should I say, being in agreement with this, with the systems of men, because this is what we do. The mark of the beast are systems of men, authentication systems. What's some of the other ones? Religion, politics. Those are systems of men. It says, or in their foreheads. In their foreheads. Not a tattoo, but inside their minds. Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Guess what? Our ancestors could not buy or sell. We as a community, can we buy or sell? without having some form of chip? Can you open a bank account without a credit report being ran? Every last one of us have a social security number. Every last one of us have a birthday. Those are all part of what? The system of men. Verse 18. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding. See, that's the key. We have so many of our brothers and sisters that are calling themselves teaching this text that don't have understanding. That's why it says, here is wisdom. That's why this starts off by saying, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So how many of our brothers and sisters truly have wisdom? Because if you have wisdom, we would not be chasing like TLC back in the day, chasing waterfalls. But let's give clarity. This is why I can prove that this is a system of men, right? Here we go. We see 3 6s, but let's go to the number of man. That's why it has the 6 there. Let's go to the number of man. Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. It says, and we're going to highlight verse 26, 27, and we'll skip down to verse 31. Elohim said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So Elohim created man in his own image, and the image of Elohim created he him, male and female, created he them. Verse 31. And Elohim saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and morning were the 6th day. So that is the number of man. So when you see 666, that is dealing with the system of who? Man. So the 6th day is when man was created, and this is the number of man, as I just pointed out. 666 represents the system of man. So when we go to the 83rd book of Psalms, and I'm going to bring this all together, 83rd book of Psalms, look at what it says. You guys know this. Keep not thou silence, O Elohim. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Elohim. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. Do you know that each one of us, as Israelites, we are crying out to the Father right now? Are you not crying out to the Father right now, saying, hold not thy peace, be not still? Yeah, we don't need you to be silent right now. We see what happened, was coming down the pike. We've been hoodwinked. We've been had a cable tow around our neck by the Democratic parties. And we also had the same thing with the Republican Party. Both of them mean no good to us. And now we're getting ready to transition to another period that's going to bring forth a mourning among Israel like never before. When I say Israel, the bloodline Israel that is scattered to the four corners. I know you guys are saying this thing just like I've been saying. Keep not thou silence, O Elohim. Hold not thy peace and be not still. This is not dealing with shalom, or and some of you guys will say shalom. This is dealing with karash. This is dealing with knock. These are some of the words that means be not quiet, peace. It transliterates to the word peace. In other words, saying don't be quiet. We need you to speak to us right now, because things are ugly right now, and it's going to get uglier. We transition out of the times of the great tribulation as Christ laid out. Now we're getting ready to go into a time of mourning. We see the signs of Christ according to what Christ laid out in Matthew 24, but there's going to be a cry. There's going to be a mourning among Yah's people. I believe just like Ezekiel chapter 37, it's going to be a cry of hopelessness. It's going to be a cry of like, when we're cut off. We can't trust nobody. We don't have no one fighting for us, Yah. We need you now. There's going to be a cry like never before. So it says, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. So let's go to tumult. Here we go. We see here, Hama. In other words, make a loud noise. So the enemy is making a loud noise. Make America great again. The enemy is making a loud noise. Well, it's because of the black men. Why Kamala Harris didn't get voted in. They are lifting up loud noises towards who? Our community, to be in great commotion. In other words, tumult, to rage war, sound, be in an uproar. In other words, what this is saying is a battle cry, a war cry. That's what this means. Tumult means war cry. Let's see what let's take it a step further. So, what is the current slogan that's currently rallying a certain group of people to a cause? Now, I could go a different one direction. I'm not going there what I would normally go, but I'm going to deal with the number 6. Whenever something happened, there is a rally cry for a particular group of people, no matter what it is. Have you guys noticed it? No matter what it is, there's a particular slogan. There's a particular rally cry that deals with a particular group of people that has the number 6 in it. Let me see if I put this in here so that way you guys can understand where I'm going at with this. Let me put the definition of a war cry inside the chat so that way you guys can understand what a war cry is, where I'm going at with this. All right. Bear with me 1 second. Let me bring it up here. All right. And I may have to double back one slide, but here we go. I want you guys to understand what a war cry is. All right. Let's see here. All right. Here we go. I'm just copying this definition in. All right. Here we go. So you guys can understand what a war cry is, right? Now let's back it up a little bit. Let's back it up one. Here we go. There we go. War cry, a cry used by a body of fighters in war. A slogan used especially to rally people to a cause. Like MAGA, Make America Great Again. That is a slogan to rally people to a cause. The Democrats are trying to rally right now, right? Blaming who for the loss of their losses in the election, even though the true answer lies with AIPAC. But anyway, a cry used by a body of fighters in war, a slogan used especially to rally people to a cause. All right, so that's what a war cry is. So tumult means war cry. So let me deal with a war cry that we know that this community that I'm highlighting deals with. This is their war cry. This is Israel's 911. We heard that one before. I'm not sure if this audio will play. If not, I won't worry about it, but let me see if it does. Yeah, actually, I'm not going to worry about the audio. We'll just go ahead and explain it. All right, let me stop this. All right, so 6 million is used as a rallying cry. Let me say that again. 6 million is used as a rallying cry. I'm going to prove it here. 6 million is used as a rallying cry. Let's build this up here. Have we been subjected to witchcraft and charms through the media? Guess what, family, we have. I want to show something here. And I'm not sure if some of you guys remember this. Some of you guys may be too young for this, right? But I want to go here. Remembering Hands Across America. I mean, I remember being a kid. This was in the 80s, right? I grew up in the 70s and the 80s. Remembering Hands Across America, right? I remember this with Michael Jackson. I remember this, right? So it reads, Remembering Hands Across America. And you guys probably remember that movie, not Get Out, Us. right? That movie Us, The Hands Across America. Let's deal with this real quick. Remember in Hands Across America, Reagan proposed an audacious plan called a stunt by United Press International (UPI) to raise between 50 and 100 million for hungry and homeless Americans by enlisting 6 million people. Think about that number. Make a note. 6 million people. And guess what? I'm going to drop this link inside the comment section because I want you guys to have sources and I want you guys to vet the sources that I am using. So I don't want anyone to think that I'm just trying to overreach, because I'm not. Let me do something real quick. Let me see if I can move these out the way. Let me copy this over real quick. I'm going to put this link inside the chat. All right, let's try this again. So, and again, this is where Us was pointing to Hands Across America at the end. Okay, now let's see what the storyline behind Hands Across America. Remember, in Hands Across America, Reagan proposed an audacious plan called a stunt by United Press International to raise between 50 million and 100 million for hungry and homeless Americans by enlisting 6 million. Make a note of the 6 million people to form a coast-to-coast human chain on May 25th, 1986. The undertaking was so great that it required 9 months and a staff of 400 to plan it, hoping to replicate the success of We Are the World. USA for Africa produced another charity power anthem to be played. So remember, We Are the World. Who wrote that song? On radio stations across the United States to promote the event, composed by New York Jingles writer, Hands Across America was set to premiere during halftime of the Super Bowl 20 until Michael Jackson protested because he believed it upstaged We Are the World, which he co-wrote with Lionel Richie. Oh, now you start understanding why Michael Jackson said they really don't care about us. Come on, family. 6 million, and look at the issue that he had right here. But it goes on to say organizers pulled the song, and Americans who turned in to watch the Chicago Bears maul the New England Patriots were instead treated to a commercial featuring Hands Across America, celebrity co-chairs Bill Cosby and Lily Tomlin. But make a note of that 6 million. Why was the goal set at 6 million? That's the question. Why was the goal set at 6 million? Do you guys know that 6 million is a Kabbalistic number? Let me say that again. The 6 million number, 6 million is a Kabbalistic number. Right? And this is the thought I want you guys to make sure you understand. It is numerologically predetermined, and through various dark conjuring rites dealing with this number, supernaturally imbued with power. As a result, it can never be changed. In other words, this is a mystical number. This is critical central to the hex. 6 million is the number. There are never more deaths. There are never less. 6 million is the number. It must be ritually repeated and publicly acknowledged. 6 million never refers to actual deaths. It's a purely symbolic, esoteric, mystical number, symbolizing the perfect result, a perfect creation, a magical great work in progress. So let me give a quick disclaimer, because I already know I'm going to have people trolling this. This lesson is not to say that the Holocaust didn't happen. This is not to say that tragic lives, innocent lives were not taken in Germany. I want to make it clear. This is not what this lesson is about. This is not what this lesson is about. One innocent life is one too many. But I want to make this clear. We're dealing with information. We're not dealing with questioning whether or not the Holocaust occurred or whether, that's not what this is about. We know that it happened, but it was, but where I'm going at here is actual information about this 6 million number. All right. Just wanted to put that disclaimer out there. So 6 million never refers to actual deaths. It is a purely symbolic, esoteric, mystical number symbolizing the perfect results, a perfect creation, a magical great work in progress. So remember, 6 million number magic spell is continuously rehearsed through the media. Let me say that again. The 6 million number magic spell is continuously rehearsed through the media. Have we been subjected to witchcraft and charms through the media? Absolutely. Let's go to the Jewish Almanac. I want to build on this here. Let's go to the Jewish Almanac, 1980, page 153. Right? This is it right here. Let me fix this here. Might as well correct my slides while I go, because I know I'm going to do this lesson again one day. All right. All right, let me fix this. All right, there we go. All right, here we go. I think I fixed it. All right, so let's go to the Jewish Almanac, family. And I encourage you guys, if you get your hands on this book, some great information that you can pull from this book. All right. So on page 153 of the Jewish Almanac, notice what you see here. You see a column that says Jewish population, September 1939. And then we see number of lost Jews. This is, again, coming from the Jewish Almanac, a brief history of the terms for Jew, all right, 1980. But I want to highlight, and I want to just kind of focus on Poland, all right? That's why you see this arrow here. So it says, right, the Jewish population in September 1939 was 3,250,000. And it says number of Jews lost. So this is dealing with the Holocaust, right? Number of Jews lost, right? That's what you see up here, losses. And let me see if I can slide this down a little bit. Maybe you guys can see it. Just to make sure that, come on, here we go. I'll just put it down a little bit like this so you can at least see the top, all right? So, as you see here, Jewish losses during World War II. So this is dealing with the Holocaust, right? So again, Poland, 3,250,000. That's the population according to this almanac in 1939. And it tells us that 2,850,000. So it's saying that during the Holocaust in Poland, basically saying that looks like about 90% of the people, 90% of the population was lost during the Holocaust, according to the Jewish Almanac. But then when you go to the next page here, let's go to the next page, right? So I want to make a note. The Jewish Almanac says 2,850,000 Jews were murdered during the Holocaust in Poland. And then we go to page 154. This is just going a page over. Let me correct this here because I can tell that my slide is not doing what it's supposed to do. So let me correct this here. All right, come on, slide. All right, let me fix this. All right, let's try this again. All right, here we go. So it says here, and this is the area I want to focus on. It says, but it is estimated that between 1940 and 1945, nearly 4 million people died at this camp. And that among them was 2.5 million were Jews. Most of the killing took place at Auschwitz II Birkenau. That's what it's saying. So it goes on to say, when the camp was liberated on January 27, 1945, by the Russians, there were only 60,000 survivors. But the point that I want to make, it says that there were 44 million people that died at this camp. And among the 4 million, 2.5 million were Jews. That's what it says. So when we go back, let's flip back to the previous page. Let's flip back, right? Let me see if I could go all the way back to the, yeah, let me move this out the back here for a moment. Now I want you guys to see here. Follow me here. Maybe go poor righteous teacher in it up in here. Follow me now, see? All right, now look at here. I'm taking this out. Oops. I did the wrong one. Let me go to the right one. I want to take this out for a second. All right. So look at what it says here. I want y'all to pay attention to this. It says, according to the Jewish Almanac, 5,957,000. So this is short by what? 43,000 of 6 million. But anyway, but we're just focusing on Poland. According to the Jewish Almanac, it says 2.8 million, or if we round it off, 2,850,000 Jews that died. All right, but that number here is just under 6 million. All right, that's the point that I want to make. All right, so that's the point I want to make. All right, let's continue. Let's go back to where we were. All right. Let's go back to where we were. All right, going back here. All right, and what you see here, oops, let me move this out the way. This is what I'm reading from. This right here. All right, and this again is dealing with, actually it's over here, my bad. This is what I'm reading from. It's over here, but it's kind of grayed out. All right, and it's dealing with, again, the Holocaust, and this is dealing with Auschwitz. Okay, so it says 4 million people. It says 4 million people, and this is saying between 1940 and 1945, 4 million people. So back in 1940 and 1945, they were saying 6 million was the total number, right? 2.5 million. We see Auschwitz and so forth. So let's see what it says here. Here it says 2.5 million total Jews. I'm going somewhere here with this. What is the exact number? Well, let's go to Poland. Poland agrees to change Auschwitz tablets. It says here, after 50 years of deflecting the request of Jewish groups, the Polish government has agreed to change the wording on stone tablets at Auschwitz and Birkenau, the adjacent Nazi camps where more than 1 million Jews died during World War II, right? The move follows decades of appeals by Jewish groups who say the current plaques do not fully reflect the suffering of Jews there and focus too heavily on the camp's non-Jewish victims. While thousands of non-Jews were among the estimated 1.5 killed at Auschwitz, the victims were predominantly Jews. So when we look at the actual tablets here, let me go back here. Took the arrows off, but look at here, 4 million, right? So it doesn't say Jews on the original plaque. It says 4 million people. But according to the Jewish Almanac, it's saying that it was 2.5 million. On the overall list, it had 2.8 million. But by the time we get to the next page, it says 2.5. So it dropped down 400,000. But then when we says it says 2.5 million Jews were killed at Auschwitz and Birkenau. But then we see here, because of at the request of the Polish Jews, said that number was incorrect. They need to focus more on the Jews, right? Their community. Look at what it says here. For this is the latest plaque. Forever let this place be a cry of despair and a warning to humanity, where the Nazis murdered about 1.5 million. So just this number right here, it went from 44 million, and based off of the original number, right, that 4 million was incorporated to the 6 million. But by the time we get to 1980, right, the Jewish Almanac says that, hey, it was 4 million, but out of that 4 million, 2.5 million were Jews. Now, when we get to this here in 1990, 10 years later, right, it says here, I believe it was 10 years later. Yeah, it says here 1.5 million. It says 1.5 million, but notice what it says here: men, women, and children, mainly Jews. It doesn't give a definitive number about the Jews. So this number dropped tremendously. Initially, it was saying 4 million, but guess what? That 4 million number initially was part of the 6 million total number. But by the time we get to here, or should I say 1980, the almanac says it was 2.5 million out of the 4 million. But then when we get here, it says 1.5 million. And out of this 1.5 million, it just says they were mainly Jews. That's not a definitive number, mainly, but it's still acknowledging that it was in this 1.5 million, that it wasn't just Jews. Does that make sense, everyone? Does that make sense? Are you guys following me? Are you guys following me? Does that make sense? Right? So I want to make sure that you guys understand that there's no definitive number. But let me go further with this. Let me continue here. The initial tablet says 4 million people suffered, but it never said Jews. This means that there was other people groups suffering during the Holocaust. Now, of course, I did not deal with the Black Holocaust, but we know there was our people were being suffered over there as well, but nothing is ever mentioned. All right, but let's continue. So the replacement tablet says Nazis murdered about 1.5 million men, women, and children, mainly Jews from various countries. So what is the exact number? What is the exact number? What is the exact number? So let's go to some articles that existed well before the Holocaust. 1 billion fund to rebuild Jewry. New York Times, October 18th, 1918. This is 30 years before the Holocaust. 30 years. Look at what it says. Printed headlines: 1 billion to fund rebuild Jewry, 6 million souls need help to resume normal life when war is ended. Loans without interest. Committee of American Jews lays plan for the greatest humanitarian task in history. 6 million need help. 6 million need help. Now, I'm not saying that nothing didn't happen here. Something happened, but notice what it says here. It says 6 million in October 18th, 1918. It says 6 million souls will need help to resume normal life. All right. And this is the actual article that I downloaded from the New York Times archives. Look at what it says. 6 million souls will need help to resume normal life when war is ended. Loans without interest. Committee of American Jews lays plan for the greatest humanitarian task in history. A meager livelihood of a poor people added to the hardships and toil of ordinary existence. They have been compelled to suffer the deprivations, and misery for it says of 4 years of war. So it says here, we're dealing with, according to this article, it says 6 million souls need help. Let's go to another article. Ukrainian Jews. Is it a coincidence we have, when I say we, far as the United States rather, have multiple campaigns going on? Look at this. Ukrainian Jews aim to stop pogroms. New York Times, September 8th, 1919. Look at what it says here. All right. Printed headlines. 1919. Now, you know what was happening in 1919. This is Red Summer. So here it is during the same year. During the same year, 3 dozen of our communities were bombed. 3 dozen of our communities countrywide was decimated. Look up the Elaine massacre and some of the other massacres during this time. They call it the Red Summer because so much blood was shed of our people. So while this is going on in Ukraine, our people were being bombed. Our people were being lynched. Look it up. Just look up Red Summer 1919 or Blood Summer 1919. Ukrainian Jews aim to stop pogroms, commissioned to visit Europe and prepare a memorandum for President Wilson. Lansing gives permission. Mass meeting hears that 127,000 Jews have been killed. And look at this, and 6 million are in peril. So 127,000 Jews, according to this article, were killed, but 6 million are in peril. And this is the actual article right here. Mass meeting hears that 127,000 Jews have been killed and 6 million in peril. Let's go to another one. All right, this is another article, November 12th, 1919, tells sad plight of Jews, New York Times. All right, November 12th, 1919. The successive blows of contending armies have all but broken the back of European Jewry, he said, and have reduced to tragically unbelievable poverty, starvation, and disease about 6 million souls, or half the Jewish population of the earth. So back in 1919, it's saying that 6 million souls were in peril. It says, and this is dealing with what? The Ukraine. And it says that 6 million souls, or half the Jewish population of the earth. So if this is saying that this is half the Jewish population back in 1919, why is it today we're still dealing with the same number almost? Because they'll say 6 million Jews are in Israel or scattered around the world, and 7 million is in the United States. Come on, fam. The numbers 6 million, right, is what we're dealing with. The successive blows of contending armies have all but broken the European Jewry, he said, and have reduced to tragically unbelievable poverty, starvation, and disease about 6 million souls, or half the Jewish population of the earth. Again, this is 1990. At the same time, our communities have been bombed. Our communities, they are using military artillery. They are lynching our ancestors. They're doing all these atrocities to over 3 dozen communities of ours all across this country. And yet, who got the better help? Who got the most help, rather? I'm not going to say better help. Who got helped? Who got the assistance? We were getting bombed while other communities that's outside of this country. Sounds familiar? This is not nothing new. Here's the article. Right? This is the archive article I downloaded. The successive blows of contending armies have all but broken the back of European Jewry, he said, and have reduced to tragically unbelievable poverty, starvation, and disease about 6 million souls, or half the Jewish population of the earth. Okay, because we're doing 2 or 3 witnesses. Let's do another article. Jewish War Aids gets 100,000 gift. In 1920, that's a lot of money. That's like equivalent to, like $5 to $10 million. Jewish War AIDS gets $100,000 gift. New York Times, May 7th, 1920. The Fund for Jewish War suffers in Central and Eastern Europe, where 6 million face horrifying conditions of famine, disease, which was enriched Jewish war. And we see here, May 7th, 1920, printed headline, Jewish War Aid gets $100,000 gift. But I want you to make sure you pay attention, family, to the backdrop. I put this here for a reason, so you guys can actually see I'm on New York Times archive, and I'm searching for these different articles here. And this is what you see in the results here. So I want to make sure you understand, family. These are actually these screenshots right here is the exact search results from what I had entered looking for this information in the archives. So let's go to the actual article. This is the actual article. Even though the text right here is in the way, let me remove that so you guys can read over it. Shout outs to my sister Carol Star inside the building. But family, let me remove that here so you can see the text at the bottom. All right. Oops. So it says here, and I'll zoom in. The Fund for Jewish War suffers in Central and Eastern Europe, where 6 million face horrifying conditions of famine, disease, and death, was enriched yesterday by a contribution of $100,000 from Nathan Strauss. All right. And we see right by, just giving more information on it. But again, we see the number 6 million is the number. Why are these articles important? Why are they important? The Jewish community began to promote the narrative of 6 million Jewish victims 30 years before the Holocaust. That number was, that's a symbolic number. And it was being promoted 30 years before the Holocaust. We see with Ukraine and other things that was going on. We see the number 6 million being used in articles prior to the Holocaust. So what is the exact number? What is the exact number? What is the source of the 6 million number? What is the source? Where did this mystical number come from? Or this symbolic number come from? This is Chabad.org. It reads, where are the 600,000 letters of the Torah? I have been told that there are 600,000 letters in Torah scroll, and I always understood this to be the case. However, I was recently made aware that if one actually counts the letters, one will find that there are just over half that amount of letters in a standard Torah scroll. So how do we reconcile the 600,000 with more accurate count? There are 304,800 plus letters in the Torah, but as you noted, we often hear the 600,000 letters in the Torah. Wait a minute, so there's 304,800 letters in the Torah. But we see 600,000 is the number that is what? Rehearsed. This is a symbolic number. In the Torah, several non-standard methods of counting are offered to arrive at the number 600,000. It says several non-standard. I don't know what's the non-standards? But there's a big difference of saying 304,800 versus 600,000. There's a big difference. I'm not sure what non-standard methods that you use to count how many characters, how many letters are in a particular document. But as you see here, according to this, it's saying it's almost less than half of this number. But the 600,000 is the number that is rehearsed. All right, let's continue. So this proves that the 6 million number are not actual numbers, but a symbolic number. Let's continue to prove it. There's yet more significance to the idea of inverse letters. The 600,000 letters corresponds to the 600,000 souls of Israel. Let me say that again. The 600,000 letters corresponds to the 600,000 souls of Israel. Although there are many more than 600,000 Jews, there are 600,000 general souls which divide into the individual sparks. That sounds like chakras. Divided into the individual sparks that become each of our souls. Some are of the black letters that their place in Torah is clear. Let me read it again. There is yet more significance to the idea of inverse letters. The 600,000 letters correspond to 600,000 souls of Israel. Although there are many more than 600,000 Jews, there are 600,000 general souls which divide into the individual sparks that become each of our soul. Some are of the black letters. Their place in Torah is clear. So, what mystical scrolls does this come from? What mystical scrolls does this come from? I read an article, Kabbalah, that's an article. But what mystical scroll, what magical book is this pulling from? Well, I'm glad you guys asked the question. The Zohar, right? Look at this. The Zohar, Kadash, right? The Zohar. So let's see what the Zohar says. This is the Zohar, and I can copy this inside the chat for you guys to have for your reference. All right, so you can vet this information as well. Let me drop a couple of these links here so you guys can have access to this. This is the one that the article I read prior. All right, so let me copy the article, the Zohar, the link to the Zohar online, and you guys can confirm what I'm reading as well. You guys can vet the source. All right. All right, so it says here, this is from the Zohar. This is from a mystical book. This is from a magic book. The Zohar Kadash states that there are 600,000 letters in the Sefer Torah, which corresponds to the 600,000 souls of the 12 tribes of the Jewish people. Similarly, the Megillah Amukos, excuse me if I butchered, Megillah Amukos writes that the soul of every Jew stems from one of the 600,000 letters in Torah. The name Yisrael itself can be viewed as an acronym for the words Yesh Shemim Ribo Odiat La Torah. In other words, there are 60 myriads. In other words, 600,000 of letters in the Torah. All right. So when you understand that, right? So I know some of you guys probably trying to figure out, well, how did they get to 6 million from 600,000? Well, this is pretty easy. I'm going to copy this slide over real quick. And this is a simple explanation, right? Very simple. You guys might be like, oh, okay. You get your geek voice in like, oh, okay. I got you, Pastor. All right, let me go ahead and get this in. Let me get this in. Let me put this lesson up. All right, y'all, you guys got me going geek mode tonight. All right. Let's pull up letters. All right, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? All right, I'm going to pull this up real quick. I'm going to copy this over. All right, let me close some of these slides. I got a lot of slides open. All right, now let me copy this letter over. You guys going to understand this when I copy it over. And then I'll explain how we get from 600,000 to 6 million. Now, some of you guys that follow my Hebrew lessons, you guys may already know the answer to this question, but I'm gonna go ahead and answer it. How did we get from 600,000 to 6 million? All right, let's go ahead and do this real quick. Let me copy this over. All right, there we go. All right, let's pull this over here. This letter right here is called the Yod. In the Israeli language, it's called the Yod, but it's the ancient pronunciation of this is the Yod, right? This letter means hand, it means arm, it means redemption. Numerical value is 10. There's the outstretched arms. This is the pictograph of this letter. So how do we get to 6 million from 600,000? Multiply it by 10. That means redemption. So that 6 million really is an extension from the 600,000. And whenever you see that symbolic number of 6 million, it's dealing with what? Redemption. Connecting it to the 600 letters according to the Zohar. The 600 letters, 600,000 letters rather, represent, as it said, sparks. It represents every Jewish person. That's according to that mystical book, the Zohar. So 600,000 times 10, you just add a zero to it, makes it what? 6 million, which means hand, arm, redemption. The key is redemption. Pretty straight to the point. Pretty straight to the point. So let's see here. Let me look at some of the chat real quick. As you can see, this is very, very, very simple. Let me give some shout outs here. I see a couple extra super chats. I want to say shout outs to Born Uhuru. Thank you for the love and support. Thank you for the super chat. La Rena, much needed clarification. Thank you, Pastor. Really appreciate the super chat. Thank you for the love and support. Mama E, thank you for the love and support. Also, Dina Ya or Dana Ya, Dina or Dana Ya, excuse me and forgive me if I mispronounce your name. Charges my head, not to my heart, but thank you. Tengi Ya, thank you for the super chat as well. Really appreciate the love. Really appreciate the support from everyone. Family, to show them some love, family. All right. So again, family, I just gave you the breakdown of this this number, that number that we highlighted, 6 million. All right. And have we been subjected to witchcraft and charms through the media? Are we under a hex? Yeah. Are we under the hex? Because we dealt with the 6 million number, which stems from the 600,000 number. But then we also see the hex, which is the what? 6-pointed star. Is that correct, family? Y'all following me? We just went from the system of man with Revelation. We went to Genesis to confirm that that is the system of man, because man was created on the 6th day of creation. We just went through the 600,000 number, the origin of the 6 million, which stems from the Zohar. And now we have another thing that we deal with is the hexagram, right? Dealing with the hex. What is the hex? What is a hex? Like that word hex, it says here to practice witchcraft. And these are Germanic words stemming from the Proto Germanic language, which Old English or English stems from the English language. But look at here, it says hex to practice witchcraft, to hex, witch, magic spell. We keep getting back here, going back here to what? Magic spells or magic books or magic scrolls. And when we see here hag, hex, hag, okay? A witch, the devil, sorcerer. So what is the meaning of the hex? Look at this. The familiar design of two interlocked triangles is generally supposed to have represented the Jewish faith since the time of David or Solomon. Therefore, this hexagram is known as Magen David, or excuse me, Magen David. In ancient Hebrew, it would be Magan Dawad. But anyway, the shield of David, or the star of David, or Solomon's seal. Actually, the hexagram had nothing to do with either David or Solomon. It was not mentioned in Jewish literature until the 12th century AD and was not adopted as a Jewish emblem until the 17th century. The real history of the hexagram began with Tantric Hinduism, where it represented union of the sexes. The downward pointing triangle was the female primordial image of Yani or Yani Yantra, existing for the universe. In the course of infinite time, the goddess received a spark of what? Life. Remember, we see spark of life. Why did this sound familiar? Because if we go back to the mystical book, we're gonna go back here. You guys know we geeking it out here. Let's go back to this mystical book, because we saw a spark here, right? We saw a spark here. All right, where is it? Where is it? I thought I saw it here. All right, we may have to go back one more. Let's go to the other source. We saw a spark, right? Because it said it comes from a spark, right? Right here it says, and this is from Chabad.org. It says here, there are 600,000 general souls which divide into the individual sparks. So we see the terminology spark tying into Hinduism. Let's go back to this article about, not article, but this source about the hexagram. Let's go back to this definition here. So we see spark. Look at here, right? It says, existing for the universe in the course of infinite time, the goddess received a spark of life within her triangle, the Bindu. Are we under a hex? The shield of David, Magen David, the so-called Star of David or hexagram, constructed of two interlocked triangles, now accepted as a symbol of Judaism. Actually, it was not associated with Judaism until the late Middle Ages. It was not officially accepted as a Jewish symbol until the 17th century. The original source of the Magen David was the Tantric Great Yantra, which stood for union of the sexes. All right, and I'm just reading this over again, but look at this. Kabbalistic sex worship brought the yantra into Jewish tradition. So this is all dealing with phallic worship. This is all dealing with, I want to say temple prostitution. All right, Kabbalistic sex worship. Are we under a hex, family? Look at the Freemasons. You guys remember this? Right? Let's go back here. You see the hexagram even with this position of this Baphomet. Let's go to a key piece of information and we'll wrap this up. The initials of Gomer Oz-Dabar, God, G-O-D. It is a singular coincidence and worthy of thought that the letters composing of the English name of deity should be the initials of the Hebrew word wisdom, strength, and beauty. The three great pillars or metaphorical supports of masonry. But we see that letter G stands for who? Gomer. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 9, son of perdition, right? Placing his images inside the places of the Most High, presenting himself as being Yah himself. They seem to present almost the only reason that an reconcile a Mason to the use of the initial G in its conspicuous suspension in the east of the lodge in the place of the delta. That's the triangle, right? The incident seemed to be more than an accident. As you see here, God, starting with the D, Debar, Oz, Gomer. Who is Gomer? What son is he? Who is his son? So Gomer, right? I'm looking at the chat here. All right. So I'm looking at Gomer here, right? Gomer is whose son? Come on, Bible scholars. You guys know who this is. Who is Gomer? Whose son is Gomer? Gomer is the son of who? Japheth. But who is Japheth's son? Who is Japheth's son? Let me give you a little hint here, and then we'll get ready to wrap this up. Who is Japheth's son? So I'm going to give you a little hint here.
You say, well, where did the name Ashkenazi came from? So a little over 1,000 years ago, as Jewish people scattered around the world had now emigrated in Europe and now were living in the Rhineland in Germany, they looked at the name Gomer in Genesis 10, and they connected Gomer with Germany, so they took on the identity of the name Ashkenaz. It has nothing to do with Ashkenaz in the Bible, which is a descendant of Japhet. It's just a name that was taken. Okay, it's that simple. Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin. Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin.
Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin.
Michael Brown, I am Caucasian. Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin or anything else. It was shortened from a Russian name when my grandfather came over at Ellis Island. The name got shortened to Brown. It's just a name. That's all it is. So the idea that Ashkenazi Jews are descended from Japhet is a myth, 100% false, zero truth to it. Just study the history.
So I guess you guys caught on the hint, right? Gomer is the son of Japheth, but a key son of Gomer is Ashkenaz. So guess what, family? The son of perdition is Japheth. The son of perdition is Japheth. And his descendants, Japheth's descendants, occupy the spaces of Israel and Ham, who hijacked the Egyptians' identity, who hijacked the Israelites' identity. I could go to some other groups who hijacked them. Let me see how much further I want to go. I think I'm going to stop right here, but let me look and see if this is a good stopping point. All right, and then we're going to call it a wrap, family, because I've been behind this computer all day working on some stuff here. All right, let me see here. Yeah, we're going to stop right here. We'll stop right here. We'll stop right here. We'll stop right here. Well, family, appreciate the love and support. I know this was an unscheduled live, right? But I really appreciate the love and support. Thank the Most High for you guys. And yes, that's Pierce Morgan. And I purposely put him in here because of the interview that I uploaded earlier with a more in-depth breakdown. But I just really want to touch on this because of the responses I got on a live that I did where we have trolls that was coming from the name Steelers community trolling inside the comment section. So I hope this helps you guys out, family. I'm just looking to see if I missed anything here. Family, I really appreciate the love and support. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. In the words of the Most High to Moses, the words that he gave to Moses to encourage Israel in Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 and 14, he said, "Fear ye not, stand still, see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today will never have power over you ever again." The Most High will fight for you. But one key instruction, a set of instructions that Israel was given, that we have to hold our peace. And the Hebrew word inside that text is charash, which means be quiet. Can't go back, can't stay here, keep moving forward. Shalom.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.